This is Adam Bernstein for COM 613, Constructing Messages and Audiences, Week 2, Book Review. The book I'll be reviewing is Blur, How to Know What's True in the Age of Information Overload by Bill Kovach and Tom Rosenstiel. Kovach and Rosenstiel have each been journalists for decades. Together, they also co-authored 2 other books about modern journalism and co-founded the Committee of Concerned Journalists, made up of journalists, publishers, media owners, academics, and citizens who are worried about the future of their profession. This joint experience is a strong hint for what inspired this book. Kovach and Rosenstiel are ink-stained remnants of what is becoming a bygone era of journalism. They were trained in the traditional style of news reporting, where nothing makes it on air or in print without being verified by multiple sources. Everything is attributed, and making a factual error or misspelling someone's name will get you fired. The ascent of the internet, cable news, and special interest propagandists was the proverbial giant meteor to dinosaurs like Kovach and Rosenstiel, an extinction-producing event for their form of journalism that was such an important part of American culture and history. But the authors aren't going quietly, as the advocacy organization they founded and this book attest. In Blur, they have assembled a field guide for integral learning and discernment in the digital age. Blur provides detailed instructions for assessing the accuracy of the information you are hearing, reading, and seeing on air, online, and in print, dissecting recent examples of news stories for illustration. It teaches the reader how to determine who and what to trust and why, to form well-informed opinions based on balance and accuracy, and to separate the truth from spin, misinformation, or propaganda. Blur lays out a methodology for determining the veracity of the products of today's journalism. The authors describe this as the way of skeptical knowing, and specific skills involved as the tradecraft of verification. These skills are designed to help you answer 6 basic questions about information. What kind of content is it? Is the information complete? If not, what is missing? Who or what are the sources, and why should I believe them? What evidence is presented, and how was it tested or vetted? What might be the alternative explanation or understanding? And finally, am I learning what I need to? The book categorizes different models of journalism, which helps readers understand the context in which we are operating. Journalism of verification is the traditional old-school model that places the highest value on accuracy and context. Think the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other established news institutions here. The journalism of assertion is a newer model that puts the highest value on immediacy and volume, and in so doing tends to become a passive conduit of information. CNN is the poster child of this model. The journalism of affirmation is the new political media that builds loyalty less on accuracy or completeness than on affirming the beliefs of its audiences, and so tends to cherry-pick information that serves that purpose. Fox News on the right and MSNBC on the left are examples. And finally, interest group journalism includes targeted websites or stories, often investigative, that are usually funded by special interests rather than the media institutions and designed to look like news. The authors take particular aim at the journalism of affirmation, which they consider anathema to their traditional verification model. They indict this form as neo-partisan news, of the talk show star posing as anchor, one-sided or lopsided broadcast segments, or cherry-picked facts. The appeal, the authors say, is affirming the preconceptions of the audience, assuring them, gaining their loyalty, and then converting that loyalty into advertising revenue. In a democratic society, news media are the primary sources of information and opinion about public affairs. Access to verifiable information gathered by independent media sources enables ordinary citizens to fully participate in the political process. Thus, journalism has an integral role in American life and culture. Therein lies the value of Blur to the strategic communicator. The book delivers background and insight about the past, present, and future of journalism, the so-called fourth estate of our society, and how it functions. Sooner or later, all strategic communicators must understand and account for news media and its impact on their work. As already discussed, Blur is an instruction manual for the public in how to validate information. In that way, the book can also guide strategic communicators in how to construct and to deliver messages that will be believable to their target audiences. Finally, by mapping the landscape of modern journalism, Blur can deliver context and insight about audiences themselves that communicators can use. For example, what compels certain demographies to rely solely on Fox News or the Huffington Post for their news? How are viral stories born? How do movements such as anti-vaxxers, birthers, and 9/11 conspiracy buffs create and perpetuate their stories? The book has its flaws. It's a little dry and repetitive in spots, as in the overuse of a Washington Post story about a broken water main to illustrate multiple points. But strategic communicators, not to mention news junkies and trained journalists, should find Blur an interesting and worthwhile read. I recommend it. This is Adam Bernstein for COM 613, Construction Messages. Past, present, and together they also co-authored 2 other books about modern journalism and co-founded the future of their profession.